Whenever Ryan says anything Porsche related, I've got a buzzer, and we're just gonna. What's the answer? GT4?
Expect to hear a lot of that moving forward. This week, we sell other people's Audis on Bring a Trailer. Hit up Chris Harris himself for some car buying advice. Quote a Queen Latifah movie of all things. Pay strange men to drive us around while we sleep. And generally just have a good time talking cars. Hop in. The car only looks constipated. It's That Car Show. Hey, it's That Car Show. It's good to be back. We've been busy. How are you guys?
Doing okay. How about you guys?
Good. What a week. What a week.
What a morning.
Way.
Dan, you've been busy helping out a friend post a really great car to Bring a Trailer. It's a manual transmission V10 R8, well, like a rare bird.
I think we need to get commission first. So I think we need to sign a contract before we talk about this. Get some sort of commission rolling in. But
right.
Jeff Jones, shout out to Jeff, a good friend of mine and a local car guy.
911 Maniac on Instagram.
911 Maniac on Instagram. He's put his R8 up for Bring a Trailer, and I helped him a little bit the other week with the photographs. I love Jeff to bits, but he's the sort of person that doesn't keep cars that long. So I asked him when he was doing the photography, I said, how much are the car tabs for this car? And he's like, I've got no idea. I haven't had it a year yet. And
registration stickers for us.
The registration stickers, exactly. Oh, yeah. You have to pay annually. So I thought with Bring a Trailer that they've got so successful that you had to wait months before these things go live. But apparently if you've got the right car, then you can jump the line, and especially if you put no reserve. So Jeff has his car up on Bring a Trailer right now. It's live. It's exciting. He's got no reserve, so I think he's scared to bits. Yeah.
So go bid so that Jeff can take a deep breath. And
that's right.
So how did he end up with that? Because it is rare, especially to be a manual. I think that's a pretty special car. How was it that he ended up with that one?
He's got this bucket list of cars that he wants to own and have, and I think one of his sons it was his dream car, an R8, and he had a Porsche Spider. We need a buzzer for Porsche, don't we?
Also a good car, yeah.
Yeah, had a Porsche Spider with the number plate. Something along the lines of like next one, as in like the next car, as in like this was going to be the keeper. And got bored of it and wanted to scratch the itch of a V10 manual, which a very rare, car.
Yeah.
So he traded in, and I think he made money on the Spider, and he's got this car up for sale.
Nice. It checks off a lot of boxes, like as you were alluding to Bring a Trailer, right? Because it's a V10. It's a manual. It's also a gated manual, which I think I can count on one hand how many gated manuals, in modern times, right? We've had. Well, let's actually think about that. So there's the R8, right, in both V8 and V10 forms.
Yeah.
The Gallardo, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then maybe a handful of Ferrari 458s or
430s.
430s.
Yeah. 430.
Those 430 Ferraris are shit. But that was it, right? It was just very.
I think Aston's gated? No, they weren't gated.
No.
It's a lost art, isn't it?
Yeah. I've never actually driven a gated manual. I'm going to say it right now. Have you?
It's fun.
Okay. I haven't. So Lindsay, what have you driven? Come on.
Yeah.
So it's not modern, but I got to drive our friend Mark Foster's 308.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. 2 years ago for spring break, there happened to be a Cobra Club event that started spring break week off, and Mark was laughing because he had intended to go home and swap the Ferrari for either his Cobra or his GT350 and ran out of time. So he was like, I'm the guy that brought the Ferrari to the Cobra Shelby event. But then I was telling him, because Magnum PI was my favorite show when I was a little bitty kid.
Was it?
Absolutely. And I mean, what's not to love? Like, the mustache could have been its own character, right? Come on. So I was telling Mark, like, this is amazing. It's like my childhood come to life. And he just smiled and threw me the keys. So my daughter and I got to take it out for a little spin around the block. And that was the only gated one I've driven, gated car.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was so much fun. It was like pure, people have strong opinions about which Ferrari model and all that. But like for us to get to kick off her spring break in a red Ferrari like that, with, and the sun was shining,
pretty
and
great.
his doesn't have a top. So it was like, it's all downhill from here.
Wow.
Dan, isn't the original, like the legit Magnum PI car at the Peterson, and because Tom Selleck is a robust 6'4", they had to like drop the seat for him, if I think the story goes.
Yeah, the car's there, along with many other movie cars. I any excuse to wear an Hawaiian shirt and drive a Ferrari, that's got to be heaven, isn't it?
Right? Like, find a better scenario. I mean, and it's so much fun. Highly recommend it. And you got to love movie cars.
And this R8, I think, is the perfect candidate for a no reserve car, right? Because it's going to sell. There are going to be people fighting over the thing. And it's got Bring a Trailer provenance, right? I think it's been sold on Bring a Trailer a couple times before, right?
Oh,
and it's
really?
been really interesting to see the rise and fall of the tides of value, right, with that car. But I think it's a great time to sell, right? I think everything seems to be up lately, and that's just a special car. And I think there are a lot of other people that want to check off that same sort of gated manual V10 box. I mean, I'd take that over a Gallardo personally, but
It's going to be more reliable, don't you?
Yeah.
The other thing in the comments, I'm looking at the comments here. I love the amount of kudos that the audience at Bring a Trailer are bringing to Avance. So Avance are friends of ours, friends of the show, and they're a car club in the US. Someone posted Avance because Jeff's an Avance member, and it's had 152 likes.
Nice.
So there's a seal of approval there as well, which is great.
Avance is a great community, especially in the Pacific Northwest. It's just a great group, and they've been very supportive. The three of us over the years too, so appreciate that.
Yeah,
I know. Well, and I was just they really are an illustration. I was just thinking about this yesterday with Chrissy in particular, who is the director of the Seattle chapter, but she goes all over too. And we were talking about something not related to cars that we're trying to do together, and it hit me. I went, "This is the beauty of the car community, is that you meet through cars, but very quickly it becomes, quote, just a real friendship." And that's, Avance is particularly good at fostering those.
They did a kickoff last weekend at the Long Beach Grand Prix.
They did.
I know you were at the Long Beach Grand Prix. Did you go to their kickoff?
I did not. The way we had a family gathering that worked out, it ended up being at the exact same time, but we did get to go to the Grand Prix on Sunday. But no, I was sorry we went a couple years ago to the Avance reception, and it was so much fun. And I had my daughter with me that day, and everybody included her as if she was just another one of the adults, and she had long conversations with several people, which she still talks about. So it's a wonderful community.
Awesome. And they throw a hell of a party, as we know, last year's Car
do.
Week. So thanks to Adam and Chrissy and that gang. Now, Dan, this R8 is not a Spider. This is not a convertible. This is a coupe?
No, yes, it's hardtop. I got to see it at the shop. We did half the filming. I helped out and didn't actually produce any pictures, but just kind of was there to hang out. And that was at the shop, which is a car storage and club in Seattle.
Right.
So we got it up on a ramp and we got to see underneath it. And the pictures have come out really well. Jeff and a professional photographer worked together on the pictures. And this car, I think the pictures are doing the car justice, which is what you want when you put an advert in.
You just have to do it right anymore. I mean, everything you see now is presented well for the most part. But reason I ask if it's a convertible is because it is convertible season, and I was driving around the other day, and I'm always trying to come up with ideas for Autoblog articles that I write, and realized there are 0 electric convertibles on the market in the U.S. And I thought for sure that can't be right. There must have been a 500e Fiat or a Mini or something. But there are 0 electric convertibles, EV convertibles, that you can buy in the States right now. I think the only 2 vehicles you can buy that may even be considered drop tops are the Hummer H2, right? And then Jeep's Wrangler, is it the XE or whatever it is?
Yeah.
What is it?
4XE.
4XE, which I think those are great. I would absolutely buy one of those. I've got a neighbor that's got one. It's a very cool vehicle, but that's as close as you can get to a drop top EV, right? And neither obviously are, is a car, and much less a sporting car, although that Hummer has like 1,000 horsepower. So I guess that could be considered sporting. But why aren't there convertible EVs? Why do you think this is?
So there are in Europe and Asia, right? So
but very few, like limited runs.
Like even there, it's not a majority, or they're not easily available. I don't know. You guys have thoughts?
Well, I've seen the MG is one.
The Cyberster.
Yeah, it's like
Terrible name.
Way to kick Elon in the
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
crotch, right?
Yeah,
And call
yeah.
it something cyber.
Yeah.
That went up Goodwood Hill when I was at Goodwood, and it looked cool. It's definitely a good-looking car. Obviously, it's not a British MG anymore; it's a
No,
Chinese.
very much.
And the import taxes to bring that into the US mean that it's just not realistic.
Makes sense.
But what else? Like,
Well, there's
I
the
think everyone's go on.
500e, sorry, but sold only in Europe, right? We get the coupe, but not the, and even that, right, is more of a rollback roof than a true convertible. And then Mini, I think sold one at least in the UK, an electric Mini Cooper, attractive thing, full convertible, but it was I think limited to 500 and only in the US. So, or only in the UK rather. So I asked around, and the consensus seems to be that it's just a really, really niche vehicle. You'll read the article. It's probably out by the time we release this show. But I was shocked to learn that convertibles are, well, first off, electrics are currently only about 8% of the market, right, in the States, and convertibles are something like half of 1%. So when you combine those two attributes, you come up with a very niche product. And obviously the big players have focused on sedans and crossovers and more mainstream things.
Or trucks even, which is you might expect
right?
that it would have gone convertibles and then trucks, but that's not how it's played out.
But this is America. We like our trucks.
Well, but that's what like electric trucks is very, some people would say that's un-American. So it's interesting that was even attempted. But I think you have to look at market share, and the trucks do sell so many.
And I think the other thing is just you're adding weight to something and complexity to something that's already extra heavy coming in, right? I mean, and extra complex. So, it's that said, there are 3 cars that are on the horizon, 3 EV cabrios for the U.S. over the next year. Any guesses what those 3 might be? Because there are just 3 that I could find, which is also a little surprising.
I can tell you one that's not coming, and that's the Tesla Roadster. Will we ever see that car?
No. And I don't believe a damn thing that man says moving forward. So
that's just not arriving in general. It doesn't matter where you are in the world.
What about all the poor people that put down a deposit 5 years ago? Where did that money go?
Yeah, although I don't think they were poor people that put the deposit down, right?
You never know.
It was also supposed to do 0 to 60 in less than a second, which,
Yeah. Didn't Jay Leno ride with him in one, or was that something else?
I'm sure there's one, right?
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
I saw a preview, like a concept car of a Polestar convertible. Is that one of the 3?
It is one of the 3. Very good.
We should have guessed. Good job, Dan.
It's the 6. So I have a 2. The 3 was just released. I think the 4 is right around the corner if it hasn't been released yet. And then there must be a 5. So a 6 is probably a good year away, but it is a beautiful, beautiful looking thing. It's also $200,000 to start. And apparently they sold out 500 of their launch editions. So they've sold, 500 of them. It's a great looking thing. It's, I think, 800 and some horsepower. But, as I mentioned in the article, $200,000, you have a lot of options. And I don't know if that's what I'm thinking more GT3 RS or something, but, or
GT3
RS. Yeah, GT3 RS you're not getting for $200,000.
Whenever Ryan says anything Porsche related, I've got a buzzer, and we're just going to... What's the answer? GT4?
Expect to hear a lot of that moving forward.
Well, and I think we were wise. The buzzer is probably a better idea than a drinking game if we want to get through the episode and have it actually be coherent.
Especially considering it's midday here for this recording.
Right.
3 p.m. somewhere in the world.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that's one of them, and that's really actually very... the fact that that's on your radar is great, right? I don't know that a lot of people come up with the Polestar 6. You're attuned, I guess we're attuned to the Polestar brand. So there are 2 others. Any guesses? What do you think the first one's going to be? It's not what you expect.
Is BMW making one?
Not that I could find. Not a fully electric. A lot of there's talk about hybrid convertibles and all that, but it's Maserati.
Oh wow!
And specifically, they have their Grand Cabrio or Grand Cabrio, or whatever you want to call it. And this is a car that I think is already on the market in internal combustion form. And they're doing one called the Foglore, I believe it's called. Foglore, which is
in Italian, are you, Ryan?
Foglore.
Maybe that's what it is. Say it right. But it's just the same car with an electric powertrain. I think it's 1,000 horsepower or close to 1,000 horsepower. Maybe it was 900 horsepower.
So it's going to compete with one of the Lucids then.
Yeah. It's a lot of power. And they're even only promising, I think, 2.9 to 60. So I don't know what Elon Musk is talking about under a second with his, similarly powered Roadster. But I guess what bothers me most about this thing is this is a car that's been retrofitted to be an electric, right? And not only is it a car that's been retrofitted, this is an ancient platform. This car looks exactly like what's the Turismo that's been out for 20 years?
Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo. That thing, it's barely changed. You can pick those up for 30 grand. Where's the case for buying a $200,000 electric version of effectively
the risk analysis, right? You would have thought a company like Maserati, that a part of Stellantis, that we know are in trouble. They've changed CEOs.
Yeah.
Like, you would have thought it'd be risk adverse, right? And if we're going to bring a new car out, let's not try something that's unproven. So unless they're borrowing all the technology from an existing platform that's not convertible, and they're going to try it in the Maserati, it's a bit of a strange move.
Yeah, that could be. What's the EV? Oh God, what their little SUV, the Dodge Hornet, right? Isn't there an EV? Please tell me this isn't just like two Dodge Hornet powertrains.
Is it the Charger?
Well, I mentioned that in the article, and I said, why don't they just chop the tops off all these Chargers that are clogging the lots, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no one wants these things. Turn them into convertibles, sold, done.
Did you know that's a factory option? There is one in LA. There's a purple one in LA. Dan, have you seen that one? There's one. And everybody thought that the person had done it themselves, like had it done aftermarket, because it's well done. Like, you look at it, it's not like the person did it in their garage.
Are we talking electric or non-electric?
Non-electric, but you can order.
Okay, I was going to say, stop the presses. Yeah. The article is no longer valid. Okay, there is. So
no, but you can order
the
Charger as a convertible.
Yeah.
But is that like done by ASC or something?
It's a factory option, but just most people, like, you'd have to special order it because they're not making them.
Well, why aren't they, like, that thing should be hugely popular among certain demographics. Yeah, that is, I think that would be, yeah. Well, of course, now we've moved on to the electric, so I guess it's a null point. But it's one of the things I mentioned in the article too was that, like, maybe it's time for Maserati to have like an Aston Martin-esque sort of redo, right? A brand refresh or a design language refresh, because I love it or hate it, they're selling those new Aston Martins, and it was time, and they needed to do something. I won't go so far as to say a Jaguar style refresh, but I think Maserati. Good God, that car looks just. Can you imagine, like, if I don't know. I don't want to say the word that can't be said. Imagine if a Camaro looked the same today as it did 20 years ago, right? I mean, the Chargers do, the Porsches do, I guess. But I just think, man, that thing is long in the tooth.
And I think you're right, Dan. My guess would be, because think about the number of cars or companies where the platform, like, they share cross-platform stuff. My guess would be that they're doing that, and maybe this is their attempt to shake up the brand, that, like, do something, that people weren't expecting, and see if that hits, because, the Maseratis have not been holding their value. I know people that have had them and they enjoy them, but the value hit that they take makes you think twice, from picking one up. So who knows?
Let me pose this question too. So many people, when you say, why would you buy a Maserati over something else for, X number of dollars? And they say it's the sound.
Right.
Well, what's a Maserati then without the sound?
Yeah. That's true, because that's what I've been picturing, like, the people that I know that have had them.
Yeah.
Either, my being around them when they're started up, or them talking about the driving experience.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like the intoxicating exhaust note. And if that's gone, you're right. Like, that is a different proposition.
Ask Dan about that intoxicating exhaust note. What was it, the Levante that you rented when we were in LA a couple of trips ago?
Yeah. I enjoyed
in February.
That car.
Yeah.
It was a lovely car, but if you're buying it new, you just burning money, aren't you?
Yeah.
But that was all about the sound.
Yeah.
Even that. So
even the SUV.
Yeah. So what do you think the third car is? And it's so obvious, but I wonder if either one of you will.
I think I know. So
Yeah. Lindsay, any guesses?
Convertible EV. That's super obvious.
Yeah. Sports car.
And if you listen to the First Dibs podcast, you might.
Shout out, John and Justin.
I am behind on my podcasts, so normally that would help because I love that show. You're gonna have to tell me.
I was going to say when we're friends with everyone who does a car podcast, it's really hard to keep up sometimes.
I know.
Right. So it's the new Porsche 718 in specifically Boxster form, right? And Porsche has been taking their sweet time getting this thing out. I think it was originally promised for 2025. Now our sources say 2026. And supposedly it's going to be released in two forms. At first, the S and the GTS. I think the S is a single motor rear wheel drive with about 400 horsepower. And then the GTS, I think, will be closer to 600 horsepower with two engines. I think maybe even all wheel drive, two engines, two motors. And then there's talk of a turbo that'll have, or maybe that's the one with 600 horsepower. That makes more sense.
Makes sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think that's the 600 horsepower one.
I wonder if it's similar then to the. So apparently, if you look at the new GTS, which is hybrid, when you look at the motor, it says a Rimac on it.
It does.
So I wonder if there's a collaboration. Obviously, they're part of the same group.
And maybe that's if they're going to do it, they're going to do it right. And so I think that's why they're taking their time. I know there's a lot of hate against the idea of an electric, fully electric Porsche. But I think if you look at it as a mini Rimac or Rimac or however we're saying it these days, I think that's a compelling thing. And, John on First Dibs has said this before, like how amazing would that be up alone in the mountains, with the 600 horsepower convertible Porsche, just cruising. I mean, it would be a different kind of experience, but 600 horsepower, anything is not going to be dull. So
especially with, if you're at altitude, engines struggle, don't they? But
absolutely. But electrics don't, right? Yeah. But who would have thunk it, Maserati would be the first ones to the market with an electric sports car. So,
well, it's interesting. You mentioned that it's a car that's being adapted to be an EV.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing that Porsche has done with the Macan E. And so people were talking about the challenges of instead of designing everything in the process and designing it as an EV, you're having to work with something that already exists. So we know it can be done too.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely car.
Well,
so I guess we'll see.
That
doesn't always mean that that's a huge issue, but I think it presents more challenges for the people putting it together.
And don't you think, Lindsay, that the new 718 will have Spider and GT4 variants that will just be IC cars?
I do.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. Will GT cars?
I'm not in charge.
But I just feel like they're not going to take that off the table. So
I feel like we'd have to have
and where was the buzzer?
The world would have to flip upside down for them to take those away.
Yeah. So I feel like it's going to be a vehicle, a platform that's going to work both ways. To your point, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Anyway, do you guys? We had a listener challenge posed to us. Shout out RJ in Japan, who suggested that we do a 5-car, $100,000 fill your garage challenge, but each car has to be $20,000. So you can't drop $90,000 on a C8 or whatever. Zero. And it's got $20,000 each, right? So
and they go buy 4 rollers for a total of 10,000. or bucks or something. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So, and Dan, I think you mentioned you picked 5 convertibles.
I had a theme. The weather's getting good in Seattle at last. It's been a long time coming. So
your 2 weeks is coming. Your 2 weeks of good weather.
Enjoy it while it lasts. But I thought I would go for I did think of almost doing 5 cars I could sleep comfortably in, but maybe that's next time.
Maybe that's for next week.
Yeah. If you're a long-time listener of that car show,
you will understand.
Episodes. Yeah.
I like the sleeping cars. So I've gone for 5 convertibles, but I'm interested. Did you folks go for themes? How did you think about it?
I approached it what would be most usable for my lifestyle and interests.
Okay. And I chose 5 different sort of types of cars, or 5 cars for 5 rolls, right? Horses for courses. So
yeah, same.
Yeah. Okay. Dan, you want to start? Because I'm very
handy.
Can do. So
None of these
I've
are going to be electrics, by the way.
I've broken it out by like drivers' cars and then cars that potentially will go up in value. So the first car that potentially would go up in value, and actually this is really cheap, but the original Audi TT convertible.
Oh, those are great.
I just think, I know they made a lot of them, but yeah, I just think the design is something special.
I mean, shout out to Freeman Thomas.
Yeah, there we go.
And you got to get the first one. Get the one with the baseball,
baseball seats.
stitching and all that. And those are tricky powertrains. I know the 6-cylinder variant is an interference engine, the 2.8, and then later 3.0. But then they also did a 4-cylinder turbo. That might actually be the one to get.
Isn't there a 5-valve?
Yeah, that would have been the 6, right? Okay. So there was a 5. I had that same engine in a B5 A4 that blew up. So maybe stick with the 4-cylinder and you can tune it a little bit too. But that first gen is just that's a concept car that was brought to market.
Yeah,
right?
beautiful thing.
I love the story of like Freeman created it in secret. Nobody at Audi, outside of the people that commissioned him, they're like, you can work on it. He ended up not moving his family back to Europe. He just had an apartment there and he'd work on it in the apartment to help keep it secret. So there's a lot of like fun background to that in addition to just being a cool car.
I'm a fan of his. He pops up at like events, like just like a regular guy, and it's like, that's Freeman Thomas.
I know. And he's been so sweet to myself and my daughter. I got to go to the Manx headquarters in Irvine and he toured me around, and then we got to take one of the vintage restored ones out for a drive.
Amazing.
That's one of those moments in the moment you realize like, soak all of this up. I'm in a Myers Manx with Freeman Thomas. Are you kidding? Like,
there are good people out there yet, aren't there?
He's just the most generous, nice, down to earth, just real. I love him.
Yeah, car guy.
Yeah.
Very cool. So that's number one. Number two, I went for the BMW Z3M Roadster.
Ooh, that's
Can you get one for 20?
You can get under 20.
No kidding.
I think
that's a lot of car.
You can't get the coupe. You can only get the convertibles.
Okay.
The coupes fetch much more money.
Yeah, probably the later cars too with the bigger engine, right? But they're both just awesome, iconic cars.
That's super fun.
Beautiful. I think I had a 2.8. That was the first convertible I ever owned, and to have the M version, I think would be cool. Yeah.
Kind of forgotten about. You just don't see them around as often. I think they either were run into the ground or the good ones are stashed away, right?
Yeah.
An Esterol blue would be the color for me.
That's so good. So good.
That was, when you're looking for pre-owned classic cars, you can't always be picky about color, but that was my first choice when I was getting my M3. Like and it stood the test of time.
Oh,
That's like a 90s color and it's still amazing.
Absolutely.
Classic. The next one that I want to own is the Lexus LC430.
Yeah.
So this is their first attempt at a convertible, I think. It's a V8. If you're lucky, you can get the Pebble Beach edition, which was done in partnership with Pebble Beach.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That's not car number 3.
It looks like a turtle. And if I recall, it also had a very strange wheel fitment. So it was very tough to find. I think, what's the Toyota Performance TRL or whatever? TRD rather, came out with a wheel later for it. But I thought it was the most hideous thing on 4 wheels when it came out. But now in a day where cars like that don't exist with V8s, it's grown on me a lot. Never driven one. I think they very, very famously had Mark Levinson sound systems, or at least that was an option. So if you're into that, checks off a big box. And the fact that they're less than $20,000, makes a hell of a lot of sense, I think. Good choice. It's I kind of forgotten about.
So I think what I got 2 left.
2 left.
So the next one is back to BMW, and it's a manual 1 Series 135i.
I like those.
Oh, that's a fun choice.
That's
those were under 20 or like 20 and under?
Yeah.
Oh, that's... Yeah, I love everything about this. They're funky, they're tiny, they're powerful,
So what year can you get for around 20?
So 2013. I've got one here that's 18, just under 18,000. 61,000 miles.
I'd take that over a new, base 3 Series convertible. all day long.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of car for that.
Yeah.
Like that's a serious one to, seriously consider.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Harman Kardon, surround sound,
Yeah.
heated seats.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a fun thing.
I like this theme, Dan.
Yeah. It's better than cars you can sleep in, isn't it?
Well, we have to
And
do
then
that one too, and then we can decide which was better.
best camping cars.
Yeah.
And then finally, I found a Mercedes-Benz C-Class.
Nice.
I had the coupe of the C-Class at Goodwood last year. I just felt that the car chassis was really, really good. Like, I really enjoyed that car. It's probably the car last year that most surprised me.
Huh.
I mean, you expect a Mercedes to be nice, but the chassis was, really good. So,
Chef's kiss,
yeah.
as they say.
yeah, chef's kiss.
What year or what would this be? This would be like
2017.
for less than 20 grand?
Yeah, like
That's
50,000
insane.
miles.
Because
I mean,
that's
I
a
haven't
very
looked at the car
new-
back, so it could be
Has the
that
car been slept in?
yeah. That's what I like. Oh, no, the
crazy.
Carfax says no accidents, 2 owners.
I mean,
Wow.
this isn't one of those biohazard cars you see like
Yeah, I don't
it's
know.
a
Come shopping with me.
Copart.
Hang on, but is there a beehive in the gas tank?
That's
Right.
if
We
there
know
is, our
Amanda
friend Logan will
fix that,
find
right?
it. Yeah,
Right. Our favorite amateur beekeeper.
that's right.
Keep him on speed dial.
I love
That's
it. Those are
good.
good choices, Dan.
Those are really fun.
Yeah.
But this has made me realize, I think another time we should do a theme of like, you were saying like cars you can sleep in. What is a quirk? Like, I know people that will change in their cars a lot or while they're driving. So it's like, which are the easiest cars to change in while you're driving? Like, we could come up with all kinds of themes for this.
The answer is nothing for me. It's just
Yeah.
impossible. But I think I'd need a Sprinter van or something like that. But you do see this, like people like surfers and things, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't know. It's I can imagine too, like a dry suit or whatever they surf in. Like that's
Yeah.
I'd get stuck. You'd have to call
Well,
911
usually-
or something. That's
Unless you have a Sprinter van, you're standing behind your truck or your 4Runner
true.
and taking the dry suit off.
True. Yeah. It's it's a whole thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle, as they say.
It is a lifestyle. Yeah.
And if folks want to reach out to us and give us suggestions, that might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, like themes, because it was definitely a fun thought experiment.
And what do you do with the keys? That's the problem. Ford had an answer with that, with the keypad, right?
Yeah.
So that there
I
are
know,
justifications for the surfers, right?
It is.
But then you'd see it like on a Crown Vic. It just didn't quite track. But
Well, I liked when they started making it vertical. It was like in the edge of the door, too. That was so
Yeah.
funny.
my daughter saw one of those recently, and she said, "Well, if there are only 5 buttons, why are there 10 numbers?"
I know.
Right? Because it's
She's
button
smart.
1, 2, button 2, 3.
Yeah,
Right.
she's very
It's-
smart.
It's the illusion of
Comes from her mom.
privacy and security. And you're
That's-
like, really, we all probably have the same code.
That's right.
This is
That's
great.
right. That's right. 2, 2, 2,
Yeah.
2, 2. Anyway, Lindsay, what do you have?
Okay. So I really like my list, and I think this would be a really fun garage. Okay. So first up, I was looking at, if I had a theme, it was looking at my life right now and what I like to do, which is driving. I love to drive with my daughter, like go for a fun drive, like
Yeah.
up in the canyons or in the hills or just
Experience cars.
experience like that she and I can take out together. I also like to go to the track, as we know. So that was a consideration. It's fun to have something you can just run around town in. That's nice. And I mean, I may have picked 2 track cars, but who's counting? So anyway, first up, because of the track cars, you need a vehicle that you can tow them
Just true.
in. So I found a 2001 Ford F-250 Super Duty red pickup truck. So that's my first choice.
Okay.
And it's
Does
beautiful.
that have like
How much is
300,000 miles or something?
Let me see. I can tell you because they go
'Cause that seems like a
forever,
deal. Yeah.
right?
Like that's a
So-
car I wouldn't hesitate to buy with high miles.
So it only
a
has
truck,
200.
rather.
It only has just over 200,000 miles.
Well,
And for
that's
the
just getting
diesels,
broken in.
right?
Yeah.
It's just getting started. Exactly. Yeah, the diesels go, so you could get one with higher miles and feel comfortable. Okay, next up, and this is something that I would take with my daughter and just go cruising in, like weekend car, go get donuts or go for, drive up PCH or whatever. And a 2006 987 Boxster manual, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Wow.
I mean, we have to have a Porsche, right?
And they're great cars. They're such great cars.
Right. And for the budget, like I think that's a lot of car for the
Yeah,
money, and it fit
absolutely.
with this challenge.
Yeah.
Next up, and this would be one of the track cars, and because I was also with an eye to, my daughter's going to be driving before I know it. So this would be something that it wouldn't be too precious. I wouldn't worry about her, something happening to it, and it would be a great car for her to learn on. So a 1996 Mustang SVT Cobra, of course, manual,
Wow.
which would work as a track car.
Yeah,
My daughter
yeah.
could learn to drive a manual on it. You could still drive it around town. I mean, you'd obviously have to put a cage in it, so that might change driving it around town.
It's a special car. It's an
It is.
SVT.
It is. Right. And the Cobra edition, it's not my favorite body style of Mustang.
Sure, of
but
course.
This iteration of it, I think would be really fun.
Yeah. Not to go off topic, but whatever happened to, was it the SVT Focus? Do you remember those?
Yeah.
I thought those were so cool. There weren't many around, but those were neat. Those were neat.
Yeah. Well, it's like the limited, I think that's one of those like limited runs, like they did
Yeah.
the Focus RS and the Fiesta,
yeah.
like ST and all those. It's
You
just a
don't even see
limited
those.
run.
You don't even see the non-SVT hatchbacks around with those big taillights or whatever. But anyway, sorry for the non
No,
sequitur.
it's a good question.
Yeah.
And
Anything
then
SVT special.
Yeah, exactly. So this one is just because it's so fun, and I just would probably end up driving this most of the time. A 2013 Mini Cooper S John Cooper Works.
Nice.
Manual, of
Awesome
course.
cars. Again, forgotten about, right? Those are the closest thing to a go-kart you're going to find. Those are awesome.
That's the thing. And so this one is super cool. I mean, and it sold for $19,250.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah. And it's the super cool. It's I can't tell exactly what the gray is, but it's like a super dark metallic gray. It's got red accents, red wheels. Like it just looks hot,
Those are
and it would be
awesome.
super fun. Very affordable.
Shout out to our friends at Shift Colorado magazine here in my home state. They invited me, I don't know, it was probably close to a year ago now, but to drive one of every John Cooper Works generation. And these are owned by our buddy Ryan Evans from Brews Beers. They were a longtime sponsor of the steering committee. So, and of course, each one has like 5,000 miles or something. They're all very low miles. So we got to drive each one back to back to back. And I found myself drawn to the earliest of them, which I think was I can't remember if it started turbo, then supercharged, and then went back to turbo, whatever the powertrain thing was. But those are the coolest cars ever. They feel special. They're a blast to drive. The shifters are great. I had no idea that you could get one of those for less than 20. And that's a real contender, right?
Right?
I think for anyone's garage. They're quick. They're great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this
Forced
is
induction.
this is a fantasy thought experiment,
Yeah.
obviously, but I kept looking at that one going like, wait a minute, like definitely got its hooks into me last night when we were putting these lists together. Also, Ryan Evans, I'm available to drive your John Cooper Works minis anytime. Just let me know.
He's such a nice guy and so generous that I bet the next time the three of us get together here that we could make that happen. He's got some other cool stuff like a 2CV and yeah. So
I'm also available to do quality control on their beer. So just putting that out there.
Hey, look at that. We are just here to help.
I did quality control on their beer for a good 2 years and 150 or something episodes, and let me tell you, the standards are very high. But I think I also probably
2 thumbs up.
Blame about 20 pounds. Yeah. If you don't know, you're not from this area. Brews Beers, BRUZ. They do strictly Belgian style beers. In fact, they're so good that they routinely win these awards in Belgium. Right, so.
That's like that movie Bottle Shock where the California wines went to France and routed all the French wines.
Yeah. I think they have to call them Belgian style and not Belgian, right? For obvious reasons. But great guy with a great fleet, also a beautiful garage. So, but check it out. Check out that article on Shift Colorado magazine online because it was really well done, and you may see me behind the wheel of one of those cars. So. That's a great choice. I love those cars. Yeah,
me too. Like I don't know. I won't be surprised if I end up with one before long. Now that I know that they're so accessible.
support
just what I
that.
need, right? Yeah. I'll do it for the sake of the podcast. I'll take one for the
Oh,
team,
it's
guys.
commitment.
Well, now it's a tax deduction. Just saying.
Right? It's a business. Exactly. Business
Absolutely.
expense.
Absolutely.
Okay. So are either of you familiar with the name Ricky Rudd?
The NASCAR driver, right?
He is.
Okay.
So,
About as far as I go.
What is
There you
this
go.
NASCAR you talk about?
Yeah.
right. NAS. Yeah. So my fifth and final addition to the 5-car, 100,000, 20,000 each garage is a 2002 Ford Taurus NASCAR, formerly driven by Ricky Rudd.
Oh, stop.
Wow.
Like a legit NASCAR?
I will show you a picture.
Is it a
No
Ford?
kidding. That's
Ford
legit.
Taurus.
Ford
Wow.
Taurus, but then here I'll
What?
show you
What?
it's cooler in this one.
Yeah.
And you can work on it because they're simple machines,
Right.
right?
So Lindsay's showing us a picture of a full
Unbelievable.
race car with black tires, yellow Goodyear type, and then just more sponsors than you can throw a stick at.
Yeah.
It's a real NASCAR, not like these recent NASCARs, right? This is carbureted, 15-inch steel wheels, right? 4-speed manual, right? This is the real deal.
It is a retired NASCAR.
Incredible.
Wow.
So I have
I like
Turning
that
up in
very
that
much.
Cars and coffee. You'd kind of win Cars and
I
coffee,
mean,
wouldn't
no,
you?
no kidding, right? Like that is the best $20,000 you could spend on a car if you're looking for attention and love and all
or just an amazing
an amazing
like,
experience.
an opportunity. I mean, talk about like checking off a list you didn't even know was on your bucket,
No
or an
kidding.
item you didn't even know was on your bucket list.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what made me think of it is there's a family that's in the Cobra Club with us that we go to the
Yeah.
track with a lot, and they have a retired NASCAR that is their track
kidding.
car, and it was one of the Cheerios cars. And so I was looking at the list, and I went,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm
the Cheerios
sure-
cars. I remember this.
Yeah, so that's at the track with us all the time, and it is
Incredible.
louder than you could ever conceive of, as you'd imagine,
God,
and it's
yeah.
just the coolest thing. And so when I was looking at this, I went, "There's no way that you could get access to one of those for 20 grand." And then I found one.
Well, they're not precious. It's not like taking your new,
I think that's why
fill in
they
the blank
like
to
it,
the track. Yeah, that's
because you
amazing.
can just go enjoy, which is the
Hell
whole
yeah,
point,
that's-
right?
Wonder what you would blow away, like, on the straight. Come up
Everything.
against-
Everything, yes.
Oh, I support this idea very much, and I am, for the record, not a NASCAR guy. Although my first job out of college, one of our accounts was NASCAR, so we used to do the product catalogs and the fledgling online stores. It was that long ago for NASCAR, also NBA and NHL and some other stuff, and it was page after page of like die-cast model, and that it was a lot of crap, honestly. But I do have some awareness, and especially back in the day, I do know the name Ricky Rudd. I think he was a pretty big name. He was no Dale Earnhardt, but he was up there, right? And so it's
Yeah.
got provenance, right?
Right. Well, and it's 2002, so it was that era. Like if
Yeah,
you
that
were
was it.
familiar with the drivers of that
Yeah,
era, he was in the mix.
Well, that's a hard one to follow up.
Yeah, follow
Lindsay
that,
Josh.
Archie.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids. All right,
No,
we can.
no, that's you guys put some thought into this.
look
I
at the
appreciate
time.
it. I appreciate it. I think you put more thought into it than I did, more effort. But I think I've got 5 good ones as well.
right.
Again, these are 5 different cars, different roles, horses for courses, whatever you want to call them. My list, I think, is a bit of nostalgia, lost ambition, and broken dreams. I mean, these are some cars that maybe I wanted when they were new and couldn't afford, couldn't swing, whatever, and some others. So I've always had a thing for G-Wagons, right? The Galanda wagons.
Yeah.
And you can get, and I'm not even talking about like the Wolf cars, the military, ex-military stuff. Also cool, not really my thing. I would go and get the best 2002 or 2003, so like that first year or two when they were in the States, G500. So fulfill all your Kardashian fantasies, They're growing on trees for 20 grand. And
That's unbelievable.
I mean, I don't know what it costs to keep those things running.
I know.
A couple friends have had those. They seem to have had great experiences. And I mean, to the untrained eye, they look just like a brand new one, right?
Yeah.
They have the actual flat windscreen, which the newest ones don't, right? A hell of a lot of car for 20 grand.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't want the 02, maybe you don't want the first year, but it's not like that was the first year. They've been around since the 70s, right?
And in the army, right?
And in the army, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
I'd
mean,
get
you
a
have to
silver
think.
one, keep it simple. I think the infotainment probably would want to be upgraded, but other than that, hell of a lot of vehicle, true off-roader. And at that price, you could off-road the thing and not feel
That's
terrible,
true.
right?
Multi-purpose I think you're making Ryan. I think unfortunately we're all going to end up with $20,000 G wagons and John Cooper Works minis.
And maybe it's better to buy a $30,000 G wagon. Like I'm guessing there's an exponential return, right? Because I think these $20,000 ones have been on used car lots and stuff. But
immediately I was wondering, like, so you buy the $20,000 G wagon and then you have to set the remaining $80,000 aside for maintenance.
Yeah.
I would want to do a little research first.
Yeah,
well, at least Lindsay could come along with a red pickup truck and tow you.
That's
right.
That's right.
It'll just fit in the back of the 250, fit in the bed.
Yeah. Right, and that thing's going to cost nothing to keep running. No. By the way, it's the okay. So this is a nostalgia car for me. It was my first car. You can only lose your car virginity once, and for me, it was an E21 BMW 320i, 1981. You can get the best one in the world for $20,000. Wow. So kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. In fact, there are beautiful ones that have sold on Bring a Trailer for 10. They had a moment a couple years ago when there were a couple that sold for like $32,000, but I think that was just, you were riding the sort of, again, the nostalgia wave, right? They've come down. People realize they're good cars. They're not great cars. They're very easy to spin. They're on 13-inch wheel and tire, setup. 110 horsepower. The early cars were carbureted. The later cars were fuel injected. I had a fuel injected car, but the carbureted cars were a little more robust. They were also 4 speeds, which was interesting. The later cars were 5 speeds, but cute little things. You're not going to win any races, but they have a hell of a lot of personality. They have like that supercar positioned stereo that's up vertical, so I could never replace it with a CD player because it just wouldn't operate in that position.
Skip and skip.
Right, right. So quirky car.
Like turkey music. This is the way to go.
This is the prone to rust, especially if you live in Wisconsin, like
What's
I did.
Not to love?
What's not to love? And you know what? The ones that are left are the good ones, right? You're not going to find they're like the O2s before them, right? You're just not going to find, the basket case ones anymore. Those are long gone. So
I love that term. Like, it's just so, it's so nutty. It's endearing.
Yeah. I mean, if there was even a convertible version, if we want to continue that conversation, Bauer very famously did one.
It was Bauer that did them, right?
And it had kind of a framework of the roof, but it was, I don't know, what's the term for that? It's like
it was almost in between a convertible and a cargo, right?
Yeah.
A hybrid of sorts.
Yeah. We should coin a term for that if there isn't one. There must be one. But it's almost like a ski boat or something, right? Where you have kind of that framework, around, where you sit. So.
Oh yeah.
What's next? You got to have a convertible. You got to have one convertible, right?
Or 5,
and I may have a couple here, but an R107 Mercedes, like the one behind me that isn't mine, that I wish I could take out today on this beautiful sunny day in Denver. But again, they grow on trees for $20,000. You can get a very, very nice one. We've talked about this before. When those were new, I don't want to say a lot of guys and gals, I think, bought them for themselves as retirement gifts, right? If you didn't buy a Corvette, you bought an R107, kind of depended on your part of town, I guess. And so they're all over the place. Again, you can get a very, very good late model 560 SL, I think, for $20,000. It's just what color do you want? A lot of them were sand beige or whatever the one is behind me, but find yourself a black one or a silver one, and that's a hell of a great car for $20,000. V8 again, V8, right?
Yeah.
Just don't make them anymore. Again, needed one Canyon carver in the mix, and so Lindsay, following on your coattails with a 987, I went Cayman.
I knew he'd go Porsche.
Yeah.
I like that I'm exempt from the Porsche buzzer, but Ryan is not.
Yeah, well, you didn't say Bronco, so.
I was going to say, there has been nary a Ford or a Bronco this entire episode. No, I said Ford with the truck.
Yeah.
But I was saying Bronco.
Went for Bronco.
Right. By the third or fourth mention, it gets louder and louder, angrier and angrier with that buzzer. But great cars. I don't know if you can get a 0.2 for under $20,000, and obviously the 981s and the 718s are double or triple that budget. But great, wonderful cars. If it were up to me, I would take a 0.2 base over I think a 0.1 S, just for the engine. They went to the DI engine, just more robust and almost as powerful. So, but they also didn't make a lot of them. We've talked about this before. Those 0.2 997 and 987 Porsches, just the world economy and all that, they're just hard to come by. But
interesting story. When I was in the UK, I was looking for a convertible, and I wasn't sure which one to get. And we talk about these term influencers. Well, Chris Harris, the influencer stroke journalist,
Yeah.
I reached out
Influencer
to him
first, is that?
I think he was journalist first.
Okay.
I give him
Yeah.
his
He
credit,
definitely
but
was.
I reached out on Twitter and said, "What convertible should I buy?"
Yeah.
He said a Porsche Boxster, so I did.
Amazing. And
Yeah,
what year was yours?
2009, I think.
So you
it
had a
was
point two.
Yeah,
That's the one.
and it was the S.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that
Great car, right?
With a
And that-
Chris Harris connection. That's so
that's
fun.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
need
love
to
that.
thank
I love his podcast with the other three guys. I know they're
Yeah.
not, but it's such a fun listen. I'm so grateful that you recommended it, Dan.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I want to talk more about that car, maybe on a future episode.
Yeah.
Because we should all be buying those up, honestly. I've said this before. Those first
Yeah.
generation Boxsters, Caymans, they'll never be cheaper, and they're fantastic, capable cars that keep up with a lot of stuff today. So, okay, so that's my Canyon Carver. And then I think you need an exotic car in your garage. You have to own an exotic car once in your life. An exotic car at $20,000 is kind of a scary proposition.
Yeah. And I like all the absolutes that we keep saying. You have to this, and you
Yeah.
definitely need this, and you must this.
Yep.
So does that mean you have to go Italian or?
Well, kind of, sort of. Are you familiar with the Cavalli Mangusta?
I know Mangusta, but I
Okay.
don't
Have
know.
one with the gull wing doors?
I don't think they had gull wing doors, but they later morphed into the De Tomaso Mangusta, but not
Yeah.
the classic De Tomaso Mangusta. So there was this outfit. For years, the only place I ever saw them was in Car and Driver. I felt like Car and Driver talked about them a lot, considering they probably sold 12 in the States. But it was the Qvale, I think is how it was spelled. And there was this fellow, kind of like a Henrik Fisker, who just always had his finger in car things, and nothing was a big success. This was one of them. I believe it was a 5.0 Mustang powered thing. So it was an American powertrain, but it had this Italian body. It was kind of funky. Look it up. It had a retractable hard top. And this was, I think, of the era when everything was going retractable hardtop. There were articles about the death of the ragtop, right? We'll never have, fabric, convertibles. It's all going to be, folding
Like
hardtops.
hard
But
convertibles. Yeah.
they were heavy and they were complex. But if you don't know this car, check it out. Again, later on, they badged it the De Tomaso, and I think that might be the cooler one to have.
That's the one I'm aware of.
I'm just looking at a picture.
That's what it is.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's
it's super
unique.
cool.
And they kind of looked like a little constipated or something, right? They look a little, but I think they're cool. I've seen one in my life.
But you've actually seen one in person.
I've seen one. Yeah. Don't they have a center, like, is it center mounted gauges, or is that, there was maybe a sister car that looked confusing with something else?
One of them was like the poster car for Advance on the Green a few years ago. So that's where I've seen it.
One of these or one of the other
It was the one with
Cavalli or whatever they are?
I think it was the Di Tommaso Mangusta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They're cool, and you can get them for like $12,000, right? So, and it's a truly exotic car. It's a V8. So, and it's like that whole, it's almost like a Shelby, or like a Cobra or something, where it's got an American heart and it's got Italian-esque, design.
Yeah.
And if
That was
that's, go ahead.
No, it was always fun to see those at the Cobra show or the Ford Powered shows,
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's so different. They stand out because the
Yeah.
design is such a different design language.
Yeah.
Also, can we have a moment for we're now going to include constipated as a descriptor for design language? I love it.
Some
That's
cars just look
hilarious.
constipated.
Wow.
Sometimes
What
they
does
do.
it say about us when we're not in the room? That's what I wonder.
No, I don't want to know. I'm good.
Yeah,
But
let's move on.
it's so interesting. It was always so interesting to see those as a kid because they are such a unique design.
Yeah.
And Ford powered.
Well, I have an alternate too, and also maybe made in slightly greater quantities. A car I've talked about before. I think it's one of the neatest looking little things, like a mini Diablo or something. A Lotus M100 Elan. And that's another one that checks off that exotic box. Maybe it's not quite as exotic, but most people have never seen one. It looks, like I said, a little Lamborghini or something. It's got one of the best sort of rear three-quarters views of any car ever built. They're tiny. There was a yellow one that appeared in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Part 2. That's your tidbit for the day.
Was it Honey, I Shrunk the Kids again, I think?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Electric Boogaloo. I've driven 3 of these things, guys.
Title, haven't we?
What's that?
We've got a title for the show.
That's right. That's right. I've driven 3. I think there might be 300 in the States. I've driven 3. I drove
incredible.
There was a green and yellow Lotus special edition one that they did, which would have been, I guess, the Colin Chapman or whatever special edition. So it had the livery, the classic green and yellow livery.
Was it gold and yellow?
No, it was British Racing Green, at least the one I drove. But it could have, maybe it was a homebrew or something.
No,
zero brakes.
Separately, I think they did a John Player special edition, but I think it's different.
Maybe that's what it was. I could have sworn it was green, but maybe it was black. I don't know. It was years ago.
Maybe it looked black, and in the sunlight, it was like that Lexus Black Jade where the sun was on it, and it's like, oh, it's dark green.
I'm curious.
Don't believe a thing I said.
Okay, in it, Ryan.
Well, it was a younger me. I was pretty svelte back in the day.
I meant height. I wasn't talking about your weight.
Well, that helped.
We don't body shame here at that car show.
Right.
Yeah, I think I wanted one more than anything. It was when I had a Volvo S40, and it wasn't the sports car I wanted to be. That was a great car, and so I actively shopped for one of these. And they were the first one I drove was terrible. It had no brakes. It had obviously sat for years. That was the John Player Special or whatever it was. And then I drove another one, and it was like, all right, getting closer. And then one day I was in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I saw one for sale at a used car lot, or I saw the ad and I went to drive it, and it was dialed in and it was quick. I think on paper they were only 170 horsepower. They were front wheel drive, which was the big hit against them. But it was fun. It was very much a late 80s car, right? The interior especially, but the exterior beautiful. And then Kia went on and bought the rights to that car and sold them slightly modified for years later. I think in the Asian markets, like Malaysia, I think they were very popular, and they did like purple and lime green. And so I have seen some of those that have been bought now badged again as Lotuses. So anyway, it's a rabbit hole for you if you ever want to go down. But those are my 2. I get very excited about that car.
Yeah.
So
well,
cool.
having the fact that you've driven 3 of them. Okay, but so you said you have. Why is that an alternate? Because you have 5 slots.
Well, so I think wasn't my Cavalli Mangusta number 5?
Was it?
I think it's just a prime example of Ryan not sticking to the rules.
Well, I was going to say, like, this is a 5.
Job.
This is a 5-car list of after my own heart, because my traditional is whatever the number and then however many bonus cars I need.
Yeah, there we go. There you go. Right.
That's my traditional approach to build an X number garage.
Well, I like this approach, right, where instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, you buy 5 things. They all have to be $20,000. Right. So thank you, RJ. RJ is a longtime friend of the show and works for Daimler in Japan. So in fact, he was a guest on the steering committee. Go way back. He was a guest.
Oh.
And
thanks, RJ.
Yeah, says he really likes the show, but
really fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. So
and now I have a NASCAR. So like, what's not to love?
I'm telling you that I think that's the new move.
Yeah.
Can you register them? Like, how does that work?
No. Track only.
I'm sure there are a couple states you could register.
Right. Vermont.
How much effort do you want to put in? Montana.
Yeah. Right.
Well, apparently Vermont is one of the only states where you can register a car without a bill of sale. There's that inside.
That would only work in Vermont, though. Can you imagine?
Right.
Florida.
I know. I'm like, that feels like an immediate invitation for all sorts of shady activity.
But they're good people, good ice cream eating people up there.
If you were to do it in Florida, they probably, push you to the front of the line, right?
Right.
Even the NASCAR, it's a religion down there, I think.
Right. God, yeah, that's
altars
I met a guy
springing up to me all over the place.
Yeah.
On second thought, I could get used to that.
I met a guy at Amelia Island last year, Jazz, I think his name was, and he's in the Nashville area. I talked about him before, and I think it was a Porsche 918 that he got registered as a street car.
Yes.
And yeah, you know this car, and he just
you've talked about it before.
yeah. I mean, it can be done. You go in,
It
I
can
guess,
be done.
you know, looking like you know what you're doing, and
Maybe you take some fresh baked chocolate chip cookies to slide across the counter
abs-
and sweeten the deal.
absolutely.
Well, and
We're all good at
speaking
small
of
talk.
licensing, did you guys hear on Spikes this week they were talking about there was a Cars and Coffee in Beverly Hills and the theme was Montana and it was cars with Montana plates in LA.
Oh, that's great.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Like that is genius and I can't
Yeah.
believe nobody has done it yet.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's just not even a.
And for those not aware,
Yeah.
so in the US there are sales taxes in most states, right? But there's no sales tax in Montana and also Oregon. So people who have got these fantastic cars, they register companies in those states. So Montana's the biggest one.
Right.
And then they end up not having to pay tax, allegedly. I'm sure they pay tax. But the car can be driven wherever, but it's wearing a Montana plate. So that's the kind of the background behind it, if you're not aware.
Well, I think it's you save the sales tax.
Yeah.
There are whole like post offices, I think, you know, in Montana where the post office boxes are just, you know, affiliated with LLCs, as I understand it. But here's a question for you. Where do you draw the line? Because I've seen a couple cars around here, like, you know, Boxsters, right, with Montana plates. Is there at what point does it start to look silly?
I mean,
At what point does it make it worth it, right?
Well, that too, right?
You know, how much does it cost to register a car and pay sales tax? If you're paying in Seattle, if you're buying a $15,000 Boxster,
right,
you're paying $1,500 tax.
Maybe
right?
that's enough.
So, you know,
then,
is that enough to warrant it?
And you think some of these cars, if it's $1 million car, like
just
that's
looks better on an F40.
worth the
That's
trouble.
where it kind of makes sense. But Sam from Seeing Through Glass is selling his Boxster at Air and Water this weekend. And that was bought, I think, in New York, but it's wearing a Montana plate in all his videos. And that's a car that's less than 20,000 Montana plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the British automotive influencers are a shifty bunch.
Yeah, trying to break the system as and where they can.
I mean, what I'm hearing is that car show needs to buy Sam's Boxster to give it a good home and
set up that car show in Montana.
Right.
Right.
We're broadcasting live from Montana.
It's ready to go.
Look, big sky.
That's
Well, my favorite is when, like, I had this conversation a couple years ago. There was a vintage Land Rover in a driveway, and I walked by it with someone who is not a car person. And the story behind this particular one is that it was during COVID, so everybody was doing, you know, what they could to cope, and all sorts of crazy things were happening. And apparently the dad was enjoying some glasses of his favorite adult beverage and bought this car online. And the way it was told to me, and it came, and look, it has a Montana plate. It came all the way from Montana. And I said, well, probably everything about that story is true, except it was probably already here.
Right.
My guess would be that car has not spent any time in Montana, and here's why.
It's never been to Montana.
No, has never seen dirt. It was this beautiful vintage Range Rover or Land Rover, and you know it has the bench seats in the back, but it was a 2-door, so super cute, fun car. I'm like, if you're going to make a COVID purchase, that's a pretty good one.
God, yeah. Hey, speaking of vintage Land Rovers, our friend who owns several, Maurice at Horsepower Heritage, is in Italy at the moment, and yeah, he was just at the Ferrari Museum and all this stuff, and looks like he's having a great time. He's a great photographer too. So
that museum is just the coolest. I'm
gonna make it there eventually.
I got to spend like an hour there many years ago, and like never long enough.
Knowing Maurice, he'll end up with like, you know, an interview with, you know, like I don't know, Hamilton
Dinner
himself, right? Like
right.
Yeah.
Dinner in Enzo's flat.
Right. Take up residency or something. But we have a whole list of things we're going to talk about today, and we are at over an hour. But there's one thing, so I have to come back to a lot of this stuff. But there's one thing I wanted to
That's a good problem
just end
to have,
on.
right?
Yeah, good problem to have. Who knew that that 5-car challenge would take off like it did? But one of you posed the question, or maybe it was me, I don't know, about the nicest Uber or Lyft you've ever been in. And I feel like when that was a new thing, it was kind of a premium product, and you were more likely to end up in something like a Lexus or something. And now it seems to be these Prius Cs, with wet back seats. So it seems to be a downhill slide, kind of like Airbnb and Vrbo for that matter.
There goes our opportunities to get sponsorship from all
Right.
three of
Well,
those.
win us back. Prove it. We'll take free stays. What have you had a particularly excellent Lyft or Uber experience, and what was the car? Or maybe it wasn't the car, but what made it so?
We talked about my one on the previous show, didn't we?
What was it?
I had armed protection and
that's
a
right.
F-150 in Texas.
That's right.
So
Yeah, I think you
mean,
win.
You took it as a positive, though.
But I think at Cannes Film Festival, you can Uber a helicopter.
Oh, there you go.
So you know how the pictures come up when you book an Uber and you can see what kind of vehicle?
Yeah.
Right.
From what I understand, helicopters are available around Cannes and Monaco during the film festival.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, imagine accidentally hitting the wrong button.
Right.
You booked a helicopter.
How do I cancel the helicopter?
Yeah. What about you, Lindsay?
Yeah.
Have you ever...
I have been very lucky, I
Yeah.
think. I've had very good experiences. I haven't taken a ton of Ubers, so that probably helps because I'm just like anything else, it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
There was a car service that I used for a long, long time because the cars were lovely and the drivers were friendly and competent. And like at the time I started using them, it was cheaper than a yellow cab, which was crazy.
Like town cars, like actual Lincoln town cars?
Like town cars. And, it was a nice touch. And since it was more affordable than a cab, I thought, well, why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
And I had used the same company for a long time. And then there was a driver that kind of became like, I think we were on his account or however that works. And in the last few years, the conversation started getting more and more bizarre. And, then my daughter's in the car with me. And at one point he started telling her she should value her parents over God. And I went,
Oh, good Lord.
I think we're going to go with Uber.
Yeah.
Wow.
That'll do it.
So I think Uber, I went into it with a very like, this is going to be better.
Yeah. That's amazing.
She's looking at me and she's like, what is happening? I don't know, but we're already
stuck.
in the car.
You're trapped.
Yeah, we were in the car.
Flight. Yeah.
That was like at the beginning of the ride. And I'm just like, where do I look?
God.
I'm like, yep, sure. Sounds, yes, straight ahead.
You're going to go through all the stations of the cross by the time you were...
It was, yeah, it was quite an experience. So not an Uber, but a story.
I don't think I've ever been in anything particularly amazing. I think probably the nicest thing I've been in is like a full-size Volvo SUV, I don't know, whatever that is, the XC90 or whatever. But I have two other quick stories. When you mentioned a town car, that made me think of a time where I also slept in a car. Years ago, it was when I was...
Nice callback.
Just out of
There
college.
we go. He is one of my people.
Right? Well,
I knew I liked
you. Dig this. I was right out of college, one of my first jobs. I apparently didn't have much money or much of a credit score, and I had to get an advance to travel for work, right? I didn't have the money, and I had to go to New York. And so I got an advance, but the advance hadn't made it to my account, or the check hadn't cleared. So I found myself in New York City trying to check into the W Hotel at Union Square, if you know where that is. This is years ago.
I've stayed there.
You know the place? Well, I tried to stay there.
Yeah.
I went to the counter. I had a reservation. I, however, didn't own a credit card, but I had a debit card, which would have been fine, but the money hadn't gone into my account. And when they ran it for $1,000 or whatever, I didn't have $1,000 in the account, so I couldn't check in. What I could do, and the next day, and I hope I've not told the story before on one of the podcasts, but I had a photo shoot to do with the deputy mayor of New York City. So I wanted to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. This was a magazine that I was working on, but this is about the same era.
Sleeping in the car the night before was not your standard prep for meeting with a major political figure.
Well, you think I could have rented a Lincoln Town car, right? And then just found a place to... in my great wisdom of being young and without credit, I decided I was going to call a town car service, and I literally paid a guy to just drive me around all night as I slept in the back. He went back and forth over one of the bridges as I slid back and forth on the bench seat, trying to get some shut eye before 2:30 a.m., which is when I knew the check was going to clear, and then I could check into the hotel. So you can sleep in a town car. You can sleep in a moving town car. I was so tired. I didn't care if I was going to die. I think toward the end, he was having a little fun with me as I was, but
you had your very own like BMW film when Clive Owen has Madonna in the back.
As a transporter.
Swinging around. Yeah.
Right. Somehow I survived. But one other quick thing, I don't think I ever got to ride in it, but in Chicago back in the day when the Impala SS was a thing, in a city full of yellow cabs that were, Crown Vics and Caprices. This is, again, dating myself. There was one Impala SS that was painted yellow and had the thing on top and everything else. It was sort of like this legendary thing. It sort of became the challenge to try to be able to hail down the Impala SS, And I think maybe eventually I got a short ride or something just to say I did. Obviously, it wasn't that memorable. What was the Impala SS? 220 horsepower or something? But
that's like,
it was so cool that someone did that.
That's like that movie. I think it was called Taxi Driver with Queen Latifah. And she was a cab driver, and that may have been like an undercover, or it just worked out that she got wrapped up in this thing.
Yeah.
This guy jumps in her cab, and something prompts her. She pushes a button, and the whole cab transforms. Like Weber carbs come up out of the hood. The whole thing.
Amazing.
And she has like this most iconic movie line. She just looks at him and winks, and she's like, "Buckle up for safety."
Oh, that's great.
Beep the word, the end of the line. But the car turns into like this hot rod, and I think it's in Chicago. And so she's like hot rodding it through the streets of Chicago. Because I think he tells her he's like, "I have to." There's some dire situation. He has to be at a certain place in 10 minutes, and she's like, I got you.
That's great. And that's kind of where I thought this guy who drove this thing must have been coming from, because back in the day, like a taxi medallion in Chicago was like $1 million, and now they're 50,000 because of Lyft or Uber or whatever they are. But he had $1 million taxi medallion, and then he went and he got a $60,000 Impala SS, whatever they cost, right? Maybe they were 40, I don't know. But they were twice what a regular Caprice would have cost, or an ex-police car or something. He drilled a hole in the hood, right, to put the medallion. He painted the thing yellow, right? So it probably had some nice, metallic black paint job. Now it's yellow. And then he, decided to be a hack in one. But but they look so similar to the regular cars. But then you saw the little Impala badge. You saw, the alloy wheels or whatever, right? And the dual exhauster. I just thought that was the coolest flex ever, and I guess those days are done. But I guess the equivalent for that would be like showing up in an S8 Audi or something, right, for your trip to the airport. Right. But anyway, so sorry for all the storytelling tonight, but this is a good one. That's what
we're here for. Right?
Yeah, this is fun.
We're here for the stories.
This is fun. So I guess that's a show and a half, right?
You're welcome.
Yeah, we've been reminded to tell everyone listening to please follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us individually on Instagram as well. We always like the follows.
Yes.
And what else? Is there anything else we need to?
We have to remind everyone to always be driving.
Always be driving. That's right. We are That Car Show. And until next time, always be driving.